people in Greece. Political police, firefighters, EMTs, and 911 dispatchers who work in our community.
We'll be going on there in just a moment. Remember, today's my 7th anniversary show. I'm going to start with a bang, all right? I know I usually do that, but today it's going to be really good, so hang on. I'm going to go on in a few seconds. I should have a guest today, too, a guy named Drucker, talking about politics. Talking about Ted Cruz. Here we go. All right, my friends, welcome to Real Truth. I am Howard Riell, and yes, today is the long-awaited 7th anniversary show. It was 7 years ago today, August 24th, that I had Chris Augustine as my very first guest, and Real Truth was born. I got a guest coming on today, David Drucker. But the big thing I want to talk today to you about on my anniversary is the fact that we've been invaded by aliens. We've been invaded by aliens. That's what I want to talk about. You know it. You know it as well as I know it. What do I mean? No, I don't mean flying saucers. I mean we've been invaded by aliens. What's the big story in America today? Donald Trump, right? Why? What's so special about Donald Trump that everybody is talking about him? Every news organization is filled with stories of Donald Trump. Every politician is referencing him. All the opinion pieces are talking about Donald Trump. Why is that? And what does that have to do with the fact that we're being invaded by aliens? It's a good way to start a 7th anniversary show, right? All right, here's the answer. We meaning the United States, have reached a stage in our history where common sense solutions to everyday problems are considered alien. Solving problems in general rather than kicking them down the road is considered an alien concept. Saying what's on your mind, a political candidate going out and speaking honestly about what he thinks has become alien to the point where you go bananas when it happens. Saying what's on your mind without worrying about whether or not you're being politically correct has become an alien concept. A candidate like Donald Trump, who doesn't rely on big money special interests to fund his campaign, is so unusual, so bizarre, it's an alien concept. When Trump says that people can't be allowed to break laws, like coming into the country illegally, that's become an alien concept in America. The idea that people don't have a right to come to America, but that it's a privilege that we may or may not extend, has also become an alien idea here. You see where I'm going with this, right? The idea that we could negotiate shrewdly with another country, China or whoever, and actually get the better of them at the negotiation table is an alien idea. The fact that the American people, in fact, our legislators get to see legislation before they vote on it has become an alien idea. The fact that we have rule of law in this country rather than rule of public sentiment has become an alien concept in America. The proposition that the President of the United States is answerable to the people and to the Constitution, which he swore to uphold, has become an alien concept in America. The idea that we should think for ourselves and come to our own conclusions rather than be spoon-fed by the major media has become a weird notion, an alien concept. The idea of choosing our leaders based on their positions and their policies rather than on their personality and some soundbite gap that we see on YouTube has almost become an alien idea. The notion that the United States should always stand by our strongest and much-needed ally, the State of Israel, has become an alien concept in America in 2015. The idea that police should be our friends and our defenders and our public servants rather than our masters who will tase or pepper spray or shoot us at the drop of a hat has become an alien idea. The notion of being proud to be an American and having pride in the founders of this nation has become an alien concept. all of these alien ideas, what we take to be alien ideas, they're not really. They're really just common sense, good old American notions. And yet we've come to a place in 2015 where all these things seem alien to us. That is the alien invasion to which I allude. And it's why I started doing this show 7 years ago today. I saw too many bananas things happening in this country. I've said this on the air many times, I hardly recognize America anymore. The things that are routinely said and done today, if said and done when I was 5 years old back in 1963, would have gotten people thrown into a sanitarium. If you got into a time machine and went back to 1960 and said, "Hi, I just arrived from 2015. Let me give you a lowdown on what's happening there," they would have thrown a net over you. No matter what Annette had to say about it. That's her problem. I started doing the show 7 years ago because we're being flooded, inundated with alien notions and concepts. The country is changing right before our eyes, and not for the better. Not for the better. In way after way, the United States is being weakened. It's being sapped of its strength. It's being crippled economically, societally. And this is why I continue to do this show. If you've been listening to me for any time at all, you know that I've never been paid a penny for hosting this show. Doesn't make me a hero. It just makes me a concerned American, a patriotic American who's doing everything that God places in his hand that he can do. If I were to put on a sandwich board and go out and walk in the street, only a fraction of the people would see me who hear me on Facebook and on the radio. And so I'm doing what I can. And because I am, I have a right to insist that you do what you can. Not everybody can have a radio show, but everybody can research topics on the internet, share that information with masses of people all around the country, all around the world. Everybody can get active in supporting the candidates who stand for a stronger America and opposing those who don't. And speaking out, speaking your mind, not being afraid, not being cowed by a PC. These are things everybody can do. Everybody can pick up a phone and call your elected officials and say, "Schmuck, you're going in the wrong direction." Why not do it? Why not do it? These are things everybody can do. And I urge you, as I do all the time, I urge you to get busy. Switch off the TV, turn off the comedy, turn off the sports, turn off the reality show, and get busy living life. Get busy taking charge. Get busy trying to right the ship of state, because I'm here to tell you, we're going in the wrong direction. We're headed for a waterfall, and it's not going to be pretty. And if you don't believe me, look at the economic headlines coming out of China today. We're going to be affected by it. It's the 7th anniversary of Real Truth, my friends. I'll be right back. Go nowhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tomfield, founder of the Riell. Well, it had to happen. Colorado legalized marijuana. Most people thought the green herb was a marijuana dispensary. Also, it was legalized on January 1st, 2014. The same day we opened our new location at 4565 Gifford Street.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'doro.
3,000 cars a day testing in front of our new location at Gifford Street. And probably was marijuana dispensary. So we changed the name of our retail store to New Genesis Health, but we kept the name of our green herb supplements. So when you come to our new location, look for our new name, New Genesis Health, or call us at 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372. And be sure to listen to the Healthy Nature Show with Mr. Phillips every Tuesday at 1 p.m. And the work making it pleasure for the moment. And we think is boring. But Lori has the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, "This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
All right, guys, welcome back. Howard Riell on the verge of starting year number 8 here on Real Truth. I mentioned Donald Trump. Let's throw it over to him. Here's a video you'll find on YouTube. Donald Trump warns of the Muslim problem. Exactly how many politicians have you heard use the phrase Muslim problem? Because you can bet your ass we really do have a Muslim problem. And they're all too afraid to say it, except for Donald Trump. Let's listen.
Radical Islam is a huge issue. It's a huge issue in the country, but even relevant to where it was.
Well, I'm sorry to see the Donald waffling a little bit there, and if he's going to be a serious candidate for president, which he is, he better bone up on the Quran, because there's an awful lot of hate there. There's an awful lot of telling people to go out and conquer the world in the name of Allah. And if he's not going to beat around the bush, that's great, but let's not beat around the bush. Let's tell all the truth. Item from the Free Beacon. Islamic State supporters online have been exchanging a new video that depicts a small child of an alleged jihadi fighter beheading a stuffed animal, according to information published by the site SITE Intelligence Group. The video is being hailed by ISIS's online supporters as proof that the next generation of jihadis are being trained to continue the terrorist group's violent march across Iraq and other Middle Eastern countries, unquote. My friends, which brings me to Facebook. Every couple of days, someone will post a picture of what appears to be an Arab child, a Muslim child who's been injured, maybe killed, and of course the headline is, "Look at the big bad Israelis have done, they're killing children," which you know as well as I do is crap. And when I find this on Facebook, here's what I tell the person who posted it. I said, the cause of this tragedy is the Quran. And if the so-called Palestinians want to prevent the injury or death of, and then I don't use the word children, I use the words future terrorists. If the Palestinian Nazis want to prevent future terrorists from being injured or killed, they merely have to drag their sorry, murderous asses off of Jewish land and go see if there's another country on the planet that will take them. Because I notice none of the Arab countries in the Middle East particularly want Palestinians coming there. Jordan is supposedly 75% Palestinian, and they don't want them. Item from CNN. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump lamented the global stock market turmoil Monday morning. The Dow plummeted 1,000 points at open, saying that it's an example of how the United States is too closely tied to China. As I've long stated, we are so tied in with China and Asia that their markets are now taking the U.S. market down. Get smart, USA, Trump tweeted. He added in a separate tweet, quote, markets are crashing, all caused by poor planning, allowing China and Asia to dictate the agenda. This could get very messy, vote Trump, unquote. Yes, my friends, and it's not just China and Asia as a whole that have been dictating the agenda. It's nearly every country in the world has been dictating the agenda to America. It's time that stopped. America is far from perfect, but America is still the best hope the world has. And America has to lead the way. Aided side by side, shoulder by shoulder with its strong ally Israel. These two countries, the greater and the lesser Satans, as the Islamic world would have it, these two countries must lead. We must get in front of the caravan. And as long as we're being led around by the nose by Asia and other countries around the world, just as Trump says, nothing good will happen. And when China falls, we will fall. Item. From the Agence France-Presse, Dateline, Sydney, Australia, police are investigating claims on Monday that controversial Hollywood star Mel Gibson allegedly shoved and verbally abused an Australian photographer during an angry altercation. Christy Miller, a news photographer with Sydney's Daily Telegraph, said she had taken 2 pictures of Gibson leaving a cinema in the city with Rosalind Ross, 24, on Sunday evening when the actor aggressively confronted her, unquote. My friends, you know I love coincidences. And isn't it a coincidence that wherever you find an avowed anti-Semite, like Mel Gibson and his father, you also find that they are violent, brainless, obnoxious morons. So the next time you hear someone going on and on about Jews, it gives you a very deep insight into what a piece of crap that person almost certainly is. Item. From Fox News, a Black Lives Matter textbook could be coming to a school near you. Aimed at white 6th grade through high school students. Stop right there. My friends, this also is an alien concept that comes as a surprise to me that now we're targeting information at specific racial groups. Is that what we're doing? Apparently it is. A textbook targeting white kids. Well, my friends, let me give you a list of all the textbooks that specifically target black kids. Well, there aren't any. How about textbooks that specifically target Latino kids? There aren't any. How about textbooks that target Asian kids? Well, there aren't any. Well, that's all right. We'll target white kids because white kids, like their parents, should be plagued with guilt. That's the message coming out of the liberal education establishment. And of course, it's garbage. And of course, it's nonsense. You remember many months ago, there was a news item I reported on about the Department of Education having different measures for success for different racial profiles of students. In other words, if you were white, you were expected to do this well. But if you were black, you're only expected to do this well. And if you were Latino, you're only expected to do this well, etc. And I said at the time that is crap. I said if the government's going to stick its snout into the education business, I want all students, regardless of their race, their color, their ethnicity, I want all students up here at the top. Nothing less than excellence should be our goal everywhere in education. But the government doesn't want to do that. Liberals don't want to do that. And now we've got whites-only textbooks telling them how ashamed whites should be because Black Lives Matter. And if anyone, you've seen it yourself, goes out in public and says, well, all lives matter, that person is instantly tagged as a racist. Let me continue. Here's radio host Larry Elder was being interviewed on Fox and Friends. He said that this book, this textbook, Black Lives Matter textbook, is indoctrinating children to believe that black people are victims and white people should feel guilty about it. He explained that that doesn't get to the root of the problem. By the way, I didn't mention it because it would never occur to me to mention it, but in the context of this nonsense, I'll mention it. Just so happens Larry Elder is black. Okay? So Elder said if the Black Lives Matter movement is really concerned about saving the lives of African Americans, they should focus on black crime, which is the #1 cause of preventable death among young black males. Elder questioned why Black Lives Matter activists are writing books like this and interrupting speeches by politicians like Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley. Quote, why don't they come down to Compton or South Central where I grew up and confront the Bloods and the Crips in MS-13, Elder said. Get in their faces and chant Black Lives Matter. Maybe that will have some sort of effect. Unquote. My friends, here's a little insight. It would not have any effect. Why? Because members of the Bloods and members of the Crips and members of MS-13, they may be evil people, but they're normal. They're not going to be backed down and cowed by some liberal moron getting in their face chanting. It's only liberals, whatever their stripe, mostly white liberals, who run in shame at the idea that maybe, possibly, some group may have suffered at the hands of society as a whole. They suffer from a disease called guilt. My friends, reality is better than guilt. Item from JewsNews.co, alarmed at the flow of migrants coming in through Greece, the tiny European nation of Macedonia declared a state of emergency Thursday. It has begun deploying riot police and armored vehicles and calling in the military. The Associated Press reports Macedonian officials have blocked thousands of migrants from entering and left them stranded in an open field being described as a no man's land near the Greek border. The government said it was proclaiming a state of emergency on its borders and deploying army troops as it tries to stem a surge of migrants from the Middle East, Asia, and Africa that has overwhelmed the economically impoverished Balkan country, according to the AP. The Guardian reports as many as 2,000 migrants a day have been pouring into the Macedonian town of Gevgelija, unquote. My friends, it's not only Macedonia, which is about the size of a postage stamp, that should be calling a state of emergency. The United States should also be declaring emergency because we also have a flood of illegals. Yes, from Mexico, yes, from South and Central America, and yes, from God knows where throughout the world. We also have a flood coming in here, uncontrolled, unsupervised, unimpeded, and that is also an emergency. Have you heard of a state of emergency being called by anyone? Nor have I. Item from conservativeangle.com, GOP presidential frontrunner Donald Trump is hitting Obama right at the heart of his pro-Muslim bias and sending a big message to Christian Americans at the same time. First, already hitting Obama with the immigration issue on all cylinders, Trump is now going after the president for a shameful refugee program. The Obama regime is bringing in tens of thousands of Muslims as quote-unquote refugees, but slams the door on persecuted and enslaved Christian and Yazidi refugees. Trump's sharply worded comments to Alabama's radio Cliff Sims are sure to make waves this week. That's because the media has given Obama a total pass on his disgraceful bias against Christian refugees, while permitting Muslims to flood American cities, usually without proper security checks. Just last week, archbishops in the Middle East slammed Obama for discrimination against Christians, the ones who are truly being persecuted by Islamic radicals, in the granting of visas, unquote. My friends, we'll take a break. We'll be back. Real truth, as always, marches on. Yes. Hang on. What's that? Say again? Oh, well, heck with him. If he calls up, tell him he needs a new publicist. You should have told him to call in on time. I'm not going to go to him now. All right. Thanks anyway, Cody. When he calls up, tell him I had him slated for the first segment of the show, and the first segment of the show is done. All right. Cancel. Thanks a lot. Okay. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tom Phillips, founder of Riell. How many times have you gone into a health food store and confused as to the many different brands and prices of the same herbal supplements? You want to buy the cheapest, but you're afraid that quality is best. How do you buy the most expensive? Truth is, the cheapest may be better. Green herbal supplements are all manufactured in our Big Ridge, Colorado plant at 4565 Kimley Street, using the highest quality herbs that we source from all over the world. Our 150 different herbal supplements are the most potent and safest in America. Our guarantee is your money back, no time limit. Just return the bottle empty or full, no questions asked. So when you come to our new location, look for our new name and get this help. Or call us at 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372. Now, this is a gentleman with the new country of feeling for truth that has him. Who are you? He confessed and did not deny. Confessed, I am not satisfied. And they asked him, what then? Are you Elijah? He said, I am not. Are you a prophet? And he answered, no. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessing of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution.
All right, guys, welcome back to Real Truth. Howard Riell. You know, I got two daughters, and so when it comes to empowering women and feminism, I'm all for it. I mean, real feminism. I mean, women having equal rights, equal pay, and all that stuff. Not the bogus nonsense that passes for feminism today. Here's a video, young woman on, you'll see it. I posted on my Facebook page, Real Truth Radio, which you should be going to religiously, or even secularly, either one. And she's talking as a woman about feminism. Let's listen in.
Hello, my name is Lauren. A few years ago, I uploaded this photo of myself holding a sign saying, I don't believe feminism because I believe in equality, no entitlement and supremacy. To my surprise, the post was shared all over the internet, from BuzzFeed and even on Time magazine. I got a lot of support for the photo, but I also got a lot of hate and criticism. Most of that criticism from feminists who claimed I did not know what the word feminism means, because feminism is actually a movement for equality. So today I wanted to speak to those feminists and explain why I'm still not a feminist and why hillbilly feminism is not, in fact, a movement for equality. I want to start by asking a question. If feminism is a movement for equality, why do we not see equal representation of both genders' issues? And why do we not see feminists complaining about benefits that women have over men in certain situations? I bet very few people watching this video right now know that around 100,000 to 140,000 males are raped annually in U.S. prison.
And my friends, that is the sound of truth and common sense, and I love it. My hat is off to Miss Southern. Item from right-wing news: Donald Trump is under fire from Sergeant Bo Bergdahl's lawyer for calling his client a, quote, dirty, rotten traitor, unquote. Bergdahl's lawyer is demanding that Trump apologize for his comments, unquote. I demand that Mr. Bergdahl's lawyer kiss my ass. This is why Donald Trump is doing as well as he is. He speaks the truth as he sees it. He makes the call and he doesn't care who likes it or doesn't. As far as Bo Bergdahl's father, he doesn't matter at all. Item from 100%fedup.com. Can you imagine if the tables were turned? Where are the citizens of Lansing, Michigan, and why aren't they opposing this Ramadan dinner scheduled months after the end of Ramadan and on a very solemn day for Americans? Last year, these two celebrated Sharia with taxpayer money days before 9/11. This year, emboldened Muslims orchestrating this effort have convinced these mayors that celebrating Ramadan, which ended in mid-July, according to the U.S. Sharia Council, on the anniversary of the Muslim terror attacks that killed nearly 3,000 Americans, would be a grand idea. Where are the citizens of Lansing? This seems so unbelievable, but it's right on the website of the Islamic Society of Greater Lansing, so there really is no refuting this event unless they come to their senses and change or cancel it, unquote. My friends, I believe it should be canceled. No, I don't mean the celebration. I mean the fact that there are Muslims in Michigan. That should be canceled. Item from news.com. Thai police have named a man in connection with the Bangkok bombing that killed 20 people. Authorities have revealed that they're searching for a Muslim man called Mohammed Musayan, the Times of London reported. But the bespectacled man, who was seen leaving a backpack at the Erewhon Shrine shortly before the explosion, remains on the run, unquote. My friends, tick off the names of the countries. United States, throughout the Middle East, England, Thailand, country after country, they've got these scummy little ferrets running around with explosives. The only thing that ties them all together is that they are all, what's that? Muslim. Item, again, from 100%fedup.com. A Wisconsin appellate court on Thursday ruled that the right to keep and bear arms extends to all individuals in the United States, including, quote, unauthorized aliens, unquote. Excuse me. The Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals in the United States versus Mesa Rodriguez decided, quote, the term the people in the Second Amendment has the same meaning as it carries in other parts of the Bill of Rights, unquote, and that the framers could have used the term citizen to bestow the right as they had in other parts of the Constitution, but chose not to, unquote. My friends, there's a very simple reason why the framers of the Constitution didn't specify that someone has to be a citizen. It's because they were not brain dead like judges are today. They never imagined in their most fevered imaginings that we would come to a point in the United States of America where non-citizens, especially those who came here illegally, would be given rights. No sane person would ever think that. And yet here we are. And by the way, they're now being called unauthorized aliens. I call them illegal alien scum, but that's me. Instead of extending rights to them, the right to vote, the right to get a driver's license, the right to get in-state tuition, and now the right to bear arms, how about the right to have their sorry asses thrown into a jail cell on their way back to Mexico? That's the right that I would extend to them. By the way, that's the right that the framers of the Constitution would also extend to them. Item from the Times of Israel. Iran's supreme leader claimed on Saturday that Islamic nations were being manipulated into internal strife by the world's bullies and urged Islamic unity in the face of what he identified as the Ummah's two greatest enemies, the United States and Israel, unquote. We'll be back.